Alright, hello guys. Today I'm going to be going over how to get the simulator up and running. And for the simulator, we're going to be using this F110 Gym Hoss, which the GitHub for it can be found here. This is the main simulator that we're going to use in GAR. And for installation, just follow these kind of steps. It's on the GitHub, has pretty good documentation. I recommend doing the without the NVIDIA GPU step. Essentially, what this does is it allows you to open it in something called I think it's called No VNC or something. Yeah, No VNC, and it just opens as a web browser. Um, I haven't done the with the NVIDIA GPU installation process, so I only know how to do it without it. But I'm pretty sure even if you have it, you can use the without NVIDIA GPU step, and it should still work all the same. First, what you're gonna need Docker initially, and for Docker, you're gonna have to install it on the Docker website. But once you have it, make sure that's running like this. And then we're going to clone the GitHub repository. So I have it all cloned right here and it's all open. And the first step is you're going to do docker dash compose up, and this will run Docker. Note that a lot of these steps, if you're doing it for the first time, it might take a way longer time, just because it has to initialize everything in the beginning. But once you do it like the second time or anytime after the first time, it should be pretty quick. So that Docker is all composed, we're going to make a new terminal. So you're going to have quite a few terminals. The first one's going to be just a Docker kind of container. And now for this next terminal, we're going to use this command right here. And it'll kind of give us something like this. So this is now kind of, you can think of it like we're actually on the car now with this command. And now you can go to this link, which is a localhost thing, and you should see this. And then once you press connect, you'll actually get onto kind of like the virtual desktop, you can think of it as. So with this running, this is just kind of like you're actually inside the car. You can do like ls, you can do like cd source, and it just kind of works as you'd expect it to. Obviously, you guys will not have any of these packages, and your sim underscore ws is going to be your main like simulator workspace. So that's where you're going to put all the packages and stuff like that. You can think of it on our car. It's called a f110 underscore workspace. So it's like pretty much the same thing as that. All right, so now to actually launch the simulation, once we have the virtual desktop running, we're going to use these commands right here. Keep in mind when you're copying and pasting these overs, they have like the currency symbol. So you're not going to copy this part. You're just going to copy the kind of source part. And this should seem familiar because it's pretty much what we do in the actual F110 workspace as well. We do source install setup slash setup.bash to get everything kind of sourced. And that allows the simulator or the terminal rather to just see all the files that we have. Now, once we have these, we're going to actually run the terminal. So that's going to be done with this command right here, which this actually just like launches the actual terminal. So now once you launch that command, you're going to see on here, you'll start to see it come up. As you can see, we have RViz now. And I don't think I've spoken previously about RViz, but RViz is just kind of like the visualization software that we use, that F110 uses rather. And it's also present on like the actual car itself. Like if you're trying to interpret LiDAR data, then RViz is also used there. That's the reason why we use No Machine rather than doing something like just SSHing into it, because there are some virtual like applications that require a GUI to operate. So this is one of them, RViz. But for this instance, we're using it to kind of like a simulator engine. So once you have it running, it'll take a second, but you'll see the car. As you can see here, we have like a car and we have the actual track around it. And yeah, so your track is probably going to look different than this one. That's because I've changed it in the configuration file, which I'll go over how to do that real quick. So to change the map that you're using in the configuration file, you're going to first put the map over here. So this one is you're going to have both the PGM file and the YAML file associated with it. And this can also be a PNG file like this one and a YAML file as well. And these just kind of look like this, as you can see. I believe these two are already pre-installed onto the simulator, and this one's just one that I brought over. So what we're going to do is we're going to first find the config file. So it's going to be this right here, sim.yaml under the config folder. So now in the sim.yaml file, you're going to scroll down to this map parameters section. It's around line 44. and you're going to change the AI lab demo or whatever it is for you guys. If you want to change it to like Levine, or if you want to change it from Levine, I think is the default to Spielberg, or if Spielberg's the default to Levine, then you just kind of put in whatever the name is you want to change it to, and make sure to omit the file extension. So don't do like PNG here, because this will incorporate, it's going to input both the YAML and the PNG, so it just wants the name itself. And then here, you're going to change this if you need to. So for me, because I had a PGM before, I'm going to change it to a PNG. And this is specifically for the image file. So as you can see here, this is a Spielberg map.png. So we're going to change this here. And now once that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to close the simulator. So to close it, you can go back to the terminal here, and you're just going to press Control C. Make sure not to do this for the Docker, like the Docker container. It's just the simulator one. So this, as you can see, will close the ROS2 here, or the RViz there. You're going to do colcon build dash dash packages dash select, and then the kind of package that's running the entire simulator is going to be called f110 gym underscore ROS. So once you do that, it's going to build this package again. And then keep in mind, whenever you build a package, you're going to have to use these source commands. And then finally, we can just run the package like we were doing before with this launch command. And now once we go back here, it'll open again. And as you can see, now we're using the Spielberg map rather than the like that demo map that I had before. So I've changed to the Levine map real quick here, and let me just explain what's going on in RViz. So what do you see and kind of what does it mean? So first you'll see like map here. So this is actually going to be like what's displayed right here. So if this is like off, then you'll see like we actually don't really have a map anymore. It's just kind of like basing it off as nothing. But we can underlay the map. So this is purely kind of like a visual thing, obviously. And then yeah, the grid is just kind of the central grid that we see here. And the laser scan or the robot model will kind of actually be the car itself. So yeah, and then the laser scan is going to be this kind of LiDAR information here. So you can see along the walls here, it's red. Red just means it's close, and then as it gets more purple, like this one right here, it gets more farther away. As you can see, this is kind of like infinite. So why isn't it over here? Well, it's because the LiDAR only sees 10 meters in front of it, I think. So that's like that full kind of LiDAR distance right there. So it's just like purple over here instead of like it being like infinite. So you can see here, the LiDAR can see like this wall kind of, you can see this part, you can see this part really well. So yeah, if you turn this off as well, you won't see this anymore. So RViz actually works like these are all kind of like topics that are being published, and you can see that if you go into any one of these, you can see the topic that's being published. So kind of as I mentioned before, RViz or ROS2 works by publishing topics and stuff. And so the topics are kind of like a whiteboard, and then people can either subscribe to those topics, which means like they read from them, or they can publish to it, which means that they can actually write to that whiteboard. So as you can see here, we have like in single agent racing, we have like EagleCar Odom, map, and then the slash scan. But of course, if you make it into two agents, which to make it into two agents, you can do by again going to the sim.yaml file. And the number of agents here can be turned up to 2. And if you do that, then you'll have the opponent's agent laser scan, and you can notice here it's an OPP, and then obviously here OPP Odom, OPP race car, race car here. So that's kind of like what you can do. Like if you're writing algorithms for the code or for the simulator specifically, make sure that you keep these kind of different topics in mind. It'll be different from the physical ROS2 cars. So because it is a simulator, we have the power to actually move the car wherever we want because we're not constrained by like physical stuff. So what we can do is we can press this right here, which is 2D pose estimate, and then you can just kind of click and drag it, and that's kind of where it is and that's the position it's facing. So if you do it like over here or something, now the car is facing this way and it's looking over here. All right, cool. Next, we're going to go over how to actually run algorithms. So I believe with the default installation of the simulator, you're going to have access to one algorithm, which I think is called keyboard telop or something. And that just lets you control the car with the keyboard. So similar how we can control the car with the controller, this allows you to control the car with the keyboard and the simulator. So first what we're going to do is we're going to make a new terminal. And then again, you're going to run that same command that makes this terminal into like the actual bash terminal. Now we're going to make sure to source this new terminal, or else it won't be able to see any of the files. And then we can get the file, the command from here. and that will actually run the kind of, it's called a teleop twist or something. It's pretty much how to control the car with keyboard. Now, kind of annoying. When you're controlling the car with the keyboard, your keyboard, you have to be focused onto the actual terminal. So that's why I popped it out real quick here. Like you can't just do it here. Like I believe it's I to go forward. Yeah. So if you press I here, it won't do anything. So you have to make sure to have a terminal open and be in the terminal window. And then, as you can see here, the car is actually going. And then you might be wondering, okay, that's cool, but by like how do I make the camera kind of attached to it? So you can do this in this right panel here. So you're gonna make it a third person follower, and then we're gonna change the fixed frame to be like race car. And you can do like anything. Basic, I believe, is the center. So now you can see we're kind of snapped onto it. You can change your initial kind of view position here, and you can press I. And as you can see, we actually move with the car now, rather than just kind of moving individual of the car. One more note I'd like to say is how you can actually kind of incorporate, or I guess move simulator files from your local kind of computer into the actual F110th computer, or into the simulator computer, because it's not as easy as just kind of dragging something inside this file directory. Instead, because it's a Docker container, you have to kind of use some Docker commands to move it to the simulator directory. So let's say I want to try moving this Gaussian kind of model, F110th model, into the simulator directory. So first we're going to go here and we're going to right click and we're going to open this file into the terminal. And once that opens, we're going to just go back so that we're selecting the F110th kind of file here. Now for the command to bring this F110th Gaussian file over to the Docker kind of container, we're going to do docker copy or cp F110th Gaussian red, and then we're going to kind of do our destination register or destination file path. So to do that, you're going to copy this right here. So make sure that you put it into source, or else it will not work. So we're going to do this, and make sure to copy this kind of string of numbers right here, because that's kind of like what we're doing it at. Like that's kind of like that's like the local kind of Docker path almost, I guess. So now we have this, and then once you press enter, it'll say successfully copied it to the source directory. So as you can see, before we didn't have it, but now if we do ls, we now have this F110th Gaussian reg file right here. And make sure whenever you do colcon build to never do colcon build inside of this source directory. You also kind of get build and install files inside of here. If you do, just delete the, I believe it's like build install log files inside here, and then just go back and then do it over here. And also whenever you do colcon build, make sure to always source it before doing like any other commands, or else it might use that old version of the command. But yeah, so this has been a general kind of overview of how you can use a simulator and get it up and running and start running algorithms onto it, and also just understanding how it generally works. So yeah, so let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.